Okay, so we go back to the earlier page. There's something called Sabbawa Lakkhana and Samaya Lakkhana. Now, Sabbawa Lakkhana means individual or own characteristic. This means that like Phassa, their characteristic is different from Vedana. So the characteristic of Phassa means is touching. So the Vedana will not have this, feeling will not have this characteristic. Feeling will be mentioned as enjoying the object and so on. So all the 52 Cetasika, their individual characteristic is different, right? Now, another one we call it Samanya. So we pronounce Samanya, Lakkhana. We call it universal characteristic. That means that all the Cetasika or all the Chitta will be Anicca Dukkha Anatta. Or all the phenomena will be Anicca Dukkha Anatta. That's the Samaya Lakkhana, universal characteristic. All right, so you only have two, Sabbawa and Samaya. So no matter everything you like, you see the earth element will be like hardness, softness, or whatever. The water element will be cohesive. The wind element will be motion or whatever. So they have their individual characteristic. But everything when you practice vipassana, still come to conclusion, everything must changing all the time. So these dhamma are impermanence. And because of anicca, changing, momentarily, everything will lead to dukkha and finally anatta. Okay, so these two are very important. Any of the meditation teacher vipassana, they will tell you to practice meditation by trying to see the individual characteristic. Then subsequently, you go to see the universal characteristic. There's anicca dukkha anatta. All right, okay. So that's the previous page. And now we go for feeling, all right? Now, Phassa has their individual characteristic of contact. There's the Phassa characteristic means touching here. Just now we are talking about Sabbawa. Sabbawa Lakkhana is this one, individual characteristic. Now, the feeling also different way. The feeling will be performed differently than the Phassa. Okay, so there's another one. Let's ask somebody. Vulnerable Joyati, you can try this one, Vedana. Are you here? Okay, I think sometimes it's not easy for them to turn on the microphone. Okay, now while waiting for you, we ask Melinda, you can read first. Yeah, Melinda.
Thank you, Saji. Vedana, feeling. The phenomena work together towards one object, one after another. As long as there is eye consciousness, Phassa arises. Sometimes Phassa leads and Vedana follows. Sometimes Vedana leads and Phassa follows. The explanation is sequential. The Buddha explains the strong connection between them. If an eye consciousness arises, Phassa has the opportunity to arise. Without eye consciousness arising, Phassa has no chance to arise.
Okay.
Depending on the eye and the visible object, eye consciousness arises. Due to the meeting of the three, eye, visible object, and eye consciousness, Phassa arises. If eye consciousness arises, Phassa will arise. In fact, eye consciousness and Phassa arise simultaneously. Sanya.
Okay.
Thank
Here,
you.
I think it didn't, thank you, it didn't mention about what is feeling here. So the text does not mention about feeling. So we better write down. Okay, now feeling is, we have to look at the comparison manual of Abhidhamma again. So just now the text. Okay, now feeling is this one. Feeling is feels the object, right? or the best way is object is experience. It can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Okay, so you have to look at this book. Feeling characteristic is being felt. Function is experiencing or enjoy the desirable object. Manifestation is relinquishment. Proximate cause is tranquility. All right. So this information we should have on this book, but it's very technical here. So maybe we can just put feeling means just experiencing the object. Okay. So that's the thing. So Pasa is contact with the object. So feeling is the one that really experience the object. So then after that you will have either pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neutral feeling. We call it I'm not so sure you mentioned this text or another text. So it's kind of like we call it this is the one. Like other factors is compare the cook that prepared for the king, but the feeling is compared to the king that enjoy the meals as much as he likes. Okay, so we call it is like similar to a king fully enjoy the meal. All right, prepared by others. So other Cetasika will come, but they don't enjoy. So Vedana is the one that really enjoy. Okay, fully enjoying the meal. So because Vedana is the one that experience the object, Pasa is only come to contact, impingement. All right, because of the word Pasa. But all these must work together. They all must work together. Sometimes Pasa leads, Vedana follows. Sometimes Vedana leads, follow. So when does Pasa lead? Pasa leads means when we pay attention to the contact. So the Pasa lead. But when do we pay attention to Vedana? When we see the aspect of enjoying, experiencing the object. So it's Vedana leads here. Okay. I think that's all. All right. Okay, next one is Sanya. Now you all want to know what is Sanya. This is very interesting to know what is Sanya. Okay. Sister Chai?
Sanya, perception. Sanya is translated as perception. It refers to the meaning and the idea we form as a result of how we see and understand something. When dealing with Sanya, we need to study the nature and the differences between the three dhammas: Sanya, Vinaya, consciousness, and Panya, knowledge. These three words are derived from the same root, nya, sam, plus. Root nya forms Sanya. V plus root nya forms Vinaya. And pa plus root nya forms Panya. Although these three words share the same root nya, they have different prefixes. According to the prefixes, their particular meanings are defined. Sam means making a mark, and nya means knowing the object. It knows the object according to the mark. For instance, if you are noting points by writing them down in your notebook, after reading it again later, you will understand it. This
Okay.
is sanya. Literally, sanya means knowing the object through a mark.
Okay, thank you. Now we have Sanya. But Sanya means is the idea. Sanya we call it, the English word is actually quite nice, perception. How we perceive when we see something, we understand something. Right? Like you say making a mark. The word of Sanya is the word Sam means from this word sun and ya. You know the prefix in Pali, sam, Vijnana is V, prefix sam, Vijnana V, and prefix pa. But the root is nya. Nya means to know, all right? So this prefix root means to know the object, to know. So what kind of knowing? The knowing is different. We have three kinds of knowing here. Sanya, perception, vijnana, and panya. So these three, they have different knowing. Right. So sanya means we call it making a mark. That's the thing we call it making a mark. It's kind of like function like memory. Right. For example, you read something, you make a mark. So later you remember it. So sanya means literally means you know the object through the mark. Or when you lost in the forest, you make a mark on the tree. So you know I passed through this way. So later I might come back again. Or you have many pencil, one of the pencil you like, so you make a mark on the pencil. So later you know you want to use this pencil again. Or you write something, that's the idea here. Okay. Now then the jnana is vijnana. Okay, next person. Cindy, yo? Yes.
Good evening, Sajaji. Regarding Vienna, the prefix V means different. It has different awareness from Sanya and Panya. The prefix Pa means analytically, Nya means knowing. It is not like Sanya and Vienna. Pakarato Janati Ti Panya, it knows in all aspects. So it is called Panya. So according to the prefixes, their meanings are defined. Difference between Sanya, Vienna, and Panya. What is the difference between these three? These three are particular dharmas. Sanya and Panya are Cetasika, whereas Vienna is Chitta. All three involve the act of knowing an object, but they do so in different modes and all aspects. Sanya knows by marking. Vijnana simply knows the object, and Panya knows analytically in all modes, all aspects, in all kinds of things. Venerable Bodhi Gosa explained the differences among these three dharmas in his book Visumanga. There are three stages. The first is knowing the mere appearance of the object. The second is penetrating the characteristics of the object as anicca, dukkha, and anatta, impermanence, suffering, non-self. The third is eradicating mental defilements through the manifestation of the path.
Okay. So what's the difference between sanya, vijnana, and panya? All right, thank you. Now, sanya and panya, these two are cetasika. Vijnana is same like chitta. Now, how many words we have for this chitta? Sometimes we have vijnana, we have chitta. Sometimes we have, maybe we also can use the word mano, right? Right. So all these are quite same, right? So vijnana, chitta, mano. Right? But sanya, perception, and panya. So these are cetasika. When cetasika arise, means that they must come together with the chitta. Now, vijnana, how come vijnana? We call it like chaku vijnana, eye consciousness, right? Like we have a chaku vijnana, so we eye consciousness. Right? For example, this is called eye consciousness. All right. So when eye consciousness arise, so the sanya must be there because sanya is one of the universal factor. But panya is not universal factor. No, panya means not all the time your eye consciousness will arise with the panya. But these are cetasika. So we have what's the difference? We will see also on the page later, right? So there are three stages in Visuddhimagga, which is give a very good explanation. So there are three levels of knowing. One is just you know the object, right? Second one is you can see it as anicca, dukkha, anatta. The third one is the knowing is so strong that it can eradicate the mental defilements through the manifestation of path. So 3 kind of knowing. So sanya means you know by marks, I mentioned just now. Vijnana is a chitta, same, you just know the object. Panya means it must have more wisdom. So it must know in all aspects, right? That's the thing. Okay. Sumita, you can read. Yes.
Sanya corresponds to the first stage. It involves merely perceiving the object without penetrating its characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. Vijnana can reach second stage. It knows the object and penetrates its characteristics, but it cannot bring about the manifestation of the path or eradicate mental defilements. Thus, vijnana is more powerful than sanya. Panya encompasses all 3 stages. Panya knows the object, penetrates its characteristics, and brings about the manifestation of the path.
Okay. So we look at the charts. Sanya is perception, all right? So if you want to write, you can write the translation. Perception. Vijnana is consciousness. Panya is wisdom. Okay? Knowledge or wisdom. Okay. So these 3 have different function. Sanya is very basic. Okay, so now according to the text here, sanya is a cetasika. So it's very basic. It just perceives the object. It recognizes the object, it forms an idea. But it cannot penetrate the characteristic. Only the vijnana can penetrate characteristic as anicca, dukkha, anatta. This one we mentioned just now. The characteristic means, you see the previous page means know as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Okay. And then only the panya, the wisdom, be able to do 3, eradicate the defilements and manifestation of path. Path means the magga, the Arya Magga. So the panya is the best. Sanya is just a fundamental knowing only. All right. So we have 3 knowing. The best, of course, is the panya. But sanya is a cetasika. Remember, sanya is cetasika. Panya also cetasika. Vijnana is a consciousness here. Okay. So it's 3 of them different. But now we come to different source of text. Now, Abhidhamma is mentioned in the text, but there are many commentary and sub-commentary. So some authors means sometimes they have different opinion. According to some authors, the order is different. Vijnana should come first. That means that according to the author, the vijnana should be first. Then sanya is later. And after that, panya. And then the idea is vijnana is the weakest. So the vijnana means that the sanya and vijnana should interchange. Vijnana should come first, sanya later. So vijnana should be weakest, followed by sanya, and panya is the strongest. Okay. Sanya is more powerful than vijnana. All right. So different texts, different authors, different commentator. Commentator means all these teachers who write the book, they have different opinion. Okay. So there's one opinion here means sanya, vijnana, panya. But the other opinion means vijnana, sanya, panya. They're trying to say the different opinion here. Okay. Right. Now, however, Venerable Buddhaghosa stated that Vijnana has more power than Sanya. Because the reason is that Vijnana can associate with knowledge jnana. Now, Vijnana is Chitta. So Chitta can associate with knowledge jnana. So Magga Chitta, path consciousness, and Phala Chitta. So these two are happen in enlightenment time, Magga and Phala. Path and fusion knowledge are Vijnana. So this Vijnana must associate with the knowledge. So they have powers. Although Sanya is associated with knowledge, it can sometimes be weak. So in reality, these three arise in Chitta. At that time, Panya leads other follow. That's why Panya has more power. Okay, so this is just some different opinion of the teacher. So I think not so important for just for knowledge only, right? So we can skip it. Now we could look for some Sanya Vipalasa. That's more interesting, I think. All right, next person. Sister Hoi Gan Lao, we can read this one. Sanya Vipalasa.
Sanya Vipalasa, distortion of perception. Sanya can make mistakes because it can be linked with Vipalasa, distortion or hallucination. There are 12 types of Vipalasa, including Sanya Vipalasa, Chitta Vipalasa, and Dikti Vipalasa. For instance, we may mistakenly identify someone as our friend. We might refer to someone as our friend, but this may not be true. When sailors from Myanmar visit Malaysia and Indonesia, some local people may resemble Burmese. By mistake, the sailors might think they are Burmese, especially if they wear a sarong. Sanya can lead to such errors because it perceives the object through a mark, and that mark can be wrong. To show the differences between these three dhammas, Venerable Buddhaghosa gave the simile of three persons. There are three individuals, a child, a villager, and a money changer, all of whom see a coin. The child knows the coin in terms of its shape, whether square or round, but he does not understand its value. The villager knows the coin's value but cannot distinguish whether it is genuine or artificial. In contrast, the money changer knows all kinds of aspects, the shape, its value, and its genuineness.
Okay. You can continue, yes.
Okay. One needs to read the original text if one wishes to study the Dhamma and realize the Dhamma. Studying Abhidhamma is challenging, just like water from many rivers flows into the ocean. If you take some water from the ocean, can you analyze its source, which river it came from? Therefore, it is not easy to differentiate between these three dhammas as they arise together, cease together, and have the same object. If one can understand to some extent, it is good.
Okay, thank you. So these three dhamma refer to Sanya, Vijnana, and Panya. These three. All right. So what Sayadaw say is that we have these three is we here actually it should be another paragraph. I think difference we should put under another title because this book we made by listen to Dhamma talk sometimes is still not perfect yet. Right, so I think we better put as a different title. Okay, now why is it possible to have three different things? The simile given here is good. It's like the knowing of a coin, you know. Everybody see the coin. Like last time, now in Malaysia we don't have much coin. I think maybe have lah. And like coin. So a child look at the coin. You only know the shape, but it might not know. The child may be as young as like 3 years old. He know the shape of the coin, so he think that it's a fun thing or it's a play thing, but it doesn't know the value. But somebody who are much more wise, a more adult, he know the coin. He know that I can use the coin to buy something, so he know the value. Okay, but he will not really know the value of the coin. But money changer, you will know, oh, this is a silver, this is a coin made of gold. and maybe how many years. If the coin is very old, maybe 100 years ago or 200 years ago, so it's a very value, or is it real or not? Because some of the coin can be a fake one. So this means that a same thing, same object, but we have different knowing because of this example here, right? It's the same object, it's the same coin, but people look at it, have different ideas, different knowledge about it because of maturity in mind, right? So, and just one point here is sanya. Sanya also can make mistake because that's why we have a vipalasa, distortion. Because is why we can make mistake, because we perceive how we make a mark, right? For example, you see, let's see how is it. Okay. How is it? For example, you see something you for example, how can I example? Maybe you see something like this example. Because I look at first I come to Myanmar, they all look like Malay to me, right? Because Myanmar and Malay, they have similar look. They are all bi and more brown color. So when Myanmar people come to Malaysia, all the Malaysia people, if they are wearing sarong, they look like Burmese. So it's how we perceive it, because they make a mark. Burmese people should wear sarong like this. Okay, so this is called we perceive wrongly, right? And maybe some other things. Let's say, for example, okay, you have a flower pot, right? Flower pot, the shape of flower pot is a standard one. But let's say if you have a cup, you use a cup and you put a flower inside a cup, so it becomes flower pot. Okay, it also can be used in this way. So we can change our perception, but sometimes it's very confused, right? Because when you put the flower inside a cup, it becomes flower pot, but it might not really look like flower pot. So we can change our perception. Yes, Brother Michael, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think over the years I heard an example of this perception, distortion of perception. I always use the example of the blind man and the elephant.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's
different
an
people.
example. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. So it say the Hebrew Michael is say that the story about when somebody, the blind people, the king want to make fun. So he put the many blind people, let them touch the elephant. So when they touch the elephant, some they say when they touch the leg, they say it's a pillar. Some when touch the tail, they say it might be a broom. So when they touch the body, they say it's a wall. So people perceive according to how they perceive people. All right, that's the meaning of sanya. So sanya can always make mistake. For example, if you are afraid of ghosts, so when you go to a quiet place, you see the tree moving around, then you will say there's a ghost, right? But actually, it's just a tree moving around. Okay, I think there's a thing here. So here Sayadaw say is Abhidhamma is very challenging, right? It's like simply given here. When a water from many rivers flow to the ocean, how do you know which water? When you see the ocean, how do you know that part of the water is from which river? Everything is mixed together. So Dhamma thinks that even these three, Sanya, Vijnana, and Panya, they look quite same, but they have different function. Okay, I think we can read this one and we finish it. Okay, Melinda, can read this one. Importance of Sanya.
Importance of Sanya. But some people think Sanya is more powerful than Vijnana. Sanya is important, which is why it is mentioned as part of the five aggregates. It is essential for us to contemplate and meditate on it. If one cannot meditate on Sanya, it can lead to Vedana. and tanha craving. Therefore, one should meditate to realize both its individual and universal characteristic. A variety of perceptions leads to a variety of minds. A variety of minds leads to a variety of karma, which in turn leads to a variety of results. This is why people have different faces and bodies, different skin colors, and different life situations.
Okay, thank you. Now, in five aggregates, all right, what is five aggregates? So five aggregates means the body, then feeling, then you have perception, mental formations, and finally you have and consciousness. So body is our body rupa or material. You see this perception, right? Among the 52, so you have the 52 Cetasika. So after you minus the feeling, Vedana, and you minus the Sanya, perception, so you have remaining 50, right? So this mental formation actually is a 50 in numbers. But why the Buddha put the perception? Among the 52 Cetasika, the Buddha take out feelings and Sanya, because this play important part in our life, especially Sanya. Because when we have different perception, we see things differently. When we see things differently and we behave differently, that's why we do karma. And when we do the karma, it gives different result. That is why people are reborn with various type of body, various face, and so on. Right? Okay, that's a feature of Sanya. Now, Sanya is making mark. For example, it's important for meditator because it's part of the five aggregates. It's how we perceive the world also. Let's say if you perceive somebody as good, let's say for example, you see people white skin, you perceive as good. When you see dark skin, you perceive them as not good. So this kind of sanya will create your different viewpoint, right? So last time in our center, we had black people. So people, when they see the black people, they always say, oh, okay, not good, all right? But we should not judge people based on their skin tone, with a skin color. We should judge people based on their behavior or based on their eye, you know. If they're looking here, looking there, they look so restless. So that means that the mind very restless. So if they are looking around, when they come to the house, they're looking too much here and there, so they behave like this. Okay, so not just on the skin color, but on the behavior. That's why sanya is important, because a perception will lead to how we see the world. Okay. Right, I think this is today is interesting topic, also not easy. So maybe we have time, we just go for the comprehension manner of Abhidhamma. So the text here is not easy to read, but it's good to read also. Okay, Badalin, you can read this perception, Badalin.
Which one? Perception.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Perception, sanya. The characteristics of perception is the perceiving of the qualities of the object. Its function is to make a sign as a condition for perceiving again, and that this is the same. Or its function is recognizing what has been previously perceived. It becomes manifest as the interpreting of the object. By way of the features that had been apprehended. Its approximate cause is the object as it appears. Its procedure is compared to a carpenter recognition of certain kinds of wood by the mark he has made on each.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you
So
very much.
So maybe we go for this sanya. Okay, so I think there's one good point here. All right. Recognizing what has been previously perceived. So it's kind of like memory. So sometimes we call it sanya, it's kind of like memory also. Maybe can kind of like memory. Whatever you see before, now when you see it again, you will remember. So like for example, you meet somebody first time, then secondary, then you have to meet the person again. So maybe you can remember. Right? So that's the thing. It also depends like our mind, you know. For example, a dog lover, when they look at the dog, they recognize the dog is a what is the dog and that dog, what's the difference if they are dog lover. If you are not a dog lover, to you all the dogs look alike. Maybe colors different only, right? But people who really love dog, they say, oh, this dog long hair, leg little bit longer, body little bit bigger, and whatever. So in my center, Sayaji Agawati is a dog lover. She can describe the dog very well. To me, some of the dog look quite similar. Okay, that's a function of sanya. You can recognize whatever you previously perceived. All right, I think that's good enough. So we can share the merits.
Excuse me,
Yes,
Saji.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
You want to say
Saji,
something? Yeah.
may I just check, right? Just I mentioned it's important we can contemplate and meditate on sanya.
Sanya,
So
yeah.
how do we do it? How to meditate on sanya?
How to meditate? It's kind of like we call it sanya is how we make a mark in our mind or how we recognize it. For example, you meet somebody you dislike, okay? You notice that the mind recognize the person as you don't like, somebody you don't like as your enemy. Then you feel hatred or anger. Okay? Because the function of sanya is recognize what you see before. You recognize it as your enemy. But from far, you see your good friend. Then you feel happy, right? Even before your friend talk to you, from far you recognize it's your friend. That's the function of sanya. So sanya can be very biased. And it also can lead to karma. Because if you perceive it as your good friend, you will have good feeling. When you perceive it as your enemy, you will have bad feeling, even hatred. And you might be very uncomfortable with this person. And if you are not mindful, you might want to gossip about that person. That person is always do bad things and like this, criticizing. Okay? Is it this example clear? So sanya is how we perceive the world, the object happen, what we see, what we hear. For example, let's say if you are young people, you like to those rock and roll or this pop pop pop, hee hee ho ho, all this very noisy sound, right? If you are very elderly, you don't like this pop 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 or but to you it's very noisy sound. That's a sanya. All right.
Sorry, Saji, I understand the meaning, but it says here it is essential for us to
Yeah, you have to
contemplate
see.
and meditate on it.
Yes, because when you perceive it as a good thing, your mind will have craving. When you perceive it as a bad thing, your mind will have aversion. And that's the thing here.
That
Yes.
means we are actually meditate on a particular object. Say the
Yeah,
person that
it's
we don't
how
like.
you perceive the object. Your perception on the object, whether good or bad. Right?
During
Okay.
meditation. During meditation.
Anytime. When you're moving around, your mind will look at this and look at that. Okay. Like to us, when you see somebody wearing white, you know it's a Buddhist. That's your perception. But if you go to funeral parlor, you see people wearing white, You know, they are wearing white because of their relatives passed away. That's a perception at work already. It's the same thing, they are wearing white color, but it's in Buddhist center, it's a Buddhist. You go to funeral parlor, it's because somebody passed away. That's why they're wearing white. That's a sanya here. It's good to meditate on this. You just try to meditate. All these are very subtle because abhidhamma or happen very fast, and a lot of things chitta arise never alone. It arise with many cetasika.
Thank you, Saji.